beautiful souls. It is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and the energies flowing in from the full moon we just had on Fridays really brought in some more craziness, as full moons always do. And friends, I'm here to tell you it's only just the beginning. And the month of August is going to be intense. Spirit has been warning us about August since December of last year. So August is definitely going to be a doozy. All leading to the greatest awakening of all. And that is what's really exciting. It's just the challenging, rough road full of potholes that we have to go down before we reach that amazing place in the future. And Spirit shows me that there is a coming of a paradigm shift, a huge awakening and a paradigm shift that moves us into a different level of consciousness. But when exactly? When could this possibly occur? Because we sure in the heck could use it right about now, wouldn't you agree? Over the past week, we have seen multiple predictions coming into fruition. Predictions that make some other past predictions now look even more plausible. For example, my predictions around President Biden not making it to the race. And now even greater potential and more plausible is my prediction of seeing him exiting this lifetime. And the visions I had of back-to-back presidential type funerals. Are we heading in that direction now? Because it sure the heck seems that way. So now we have him stepping out of the race. We have Harris stepping into the race and the VP. Remember in my past visions, I saw Harris taking oath for a very short period of time. And I said that at least 3 years back that I saw that. And this is all looking more and more plausible as Spirit showed us that they were going to sadly manipulate Biden's medications and such purposely to get him out of the race, to get him out completely. So, is there a coup going on in the White House? A total coup takeover? I have no doubt, friends, and you should have no doubt anyway. Everything to be, now they can't control. They manipulated poor Biden, they controlled him, and then they pushed him out. His own people pushed him out. Shame on them, friends, shame on them. Some folks speculate that Biden has already passed away. That's what some reports are saying, while some are saying he's terminal. What really is the truth, and how much longer before they plan the end of his life ceremonies? And is it going to be Obama? Is Obama going to be the one that plans the arrangements for JB? Or is he still too busy running things behind the curtain in the White House? Likely, working really, really hard to push his wife, Michelle, into the race. But what about Hillary? If we go back to years ago, at least 3-4 years ago, Spirit told us that we were going to see a repeat of 2016, elections. 2016 elections would be Trump against Clinton, right? That would be a repeat. Is that potentially where we're heading? We looked at the numbers on Sunday when I went live. As far as numerology is concerned, and it really didn't look very good for Hillary, but she is ruthless and wanting to get that deep state and keep that deep state right there in the White House. Her and her buddy Obama. Really interesting things. And she wants more than anyone. She wants that more than anyone could ever imagine. We all know that. She's been wanting that. She can taste it in her mouth. And Spirit shows me both women. And I'm going to update you on the status of what's going on with them and our timeline shifts that we're still heading into. It was only yesterday that I realized that somebody chose the absolute worst days possible. And I don't know how I didn't realize this before, but I was talking to a friend and we just happened to look at the calendar and I was shocked to see what's happening in the days that they picked to host the DNC. And in all places, Chicago, where the crime rate and pow-pow events are skyrocketed off the charts. And I asked myself, why would they choose such a horrible time period and a time window in those specific dates? Is this potentially so that they can, fly one of their white flags and some type of an agenda and plan? I'm going to tell you about those dates, and I'm going to tell you all about, more importantly, why you should avoid Chicago, especially in the month of August. Like, avoid it like the plague, kind of avoid it, especially during the dates of the DNC convention. We all remember what happened to the bridge that happened, the collapse in Maryland a few months back, something that I saw in visions previously to the event playing out. And we checked back in with Spirit, if you remember, and we were told that there were going to be other bridge collapses coming sometime in the future. One of my visions, I saw a bridge collapse due to severe flooding and severe weather. Now that prediction is actually coming into fruition in China, which as of now claimed at least 11 people from the bridge collapse in China. So what could the next bridge collapse be from? Where could it be? And perhaps when? Last week, Spirit warned us of upcoming major cyber attacks. And if you remember, specifically, Spirit said hackers were going to test the system soon as a practice run for what they're planning to do in the future. I figured that would have played out in the month of August. I was wrong there. It played out only days after I said it. Just days after, although, again, they say it was a software, glitch or what have you. But was it really? Was it really, or are they testing the grounds? Because although, I doubt that there's any coincidence, there are no coincidences, that happened just days after Spirit told us right here in the United States, the largest data outage ever, allegedly caused by Microsoft upgrades. Really? Really? Could that have anything to do with being the first test that Spirit told us was coming? And what happens when the hackers are successful at their mission? What happens then? We're going to talk about that. And are they going to be successful? So hop aboard, my beautiful friends. Hop aboard, vibe with your tribe, and feed your prediction addiction. As we review the past week's events, how they may or may not relate to predictions and prophecy with new predictions each and every week. This is episode number 127 of Tuesday's Teatime Predictions Update. And y'all know what time it is.
It's Tittle Tea Time, baby.
Beautiful souls, beautiful tribe. Once again, I welcome you back to the channel. I welcome you to the channel if you happen to be new here. Welcome to the tribe. If you want to vibe with the tribe, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, good content, you got to smash the subscribe, the bell, followed by all. And here's the thing. Lots of people are reporting lately, and probably because my YouTube channel jumped very significantly in the month of July, that they are suddenly unsubscribed and they have to come back and check. Now, we have no control over that. That is all YouTube, friends, and we can only imagine why that happens. It's very unfair, and I bet my numbers would be triple if that didn't happen. So if you don't see me pop up on a Tuesday or by Wednesday, you better go directly to the channel and check out. Make sure that they didn't decide to take you away. Take you away. They're taking my tribe away. It's so not fair, friends. You know what else is not fair? These less than smart people that go on and have nothing better to do but sit at their computers, steal people's pictures, create fake profiles, and then go to their pages, steal their people, and start emailing and messaging you from these platforms, claiming that they are going to give you a reading or claiming whatever they claim. And they do it to everyone that they can, anybody that they can manipulate and try to scam others out of money. So when you get a message on social media, especially and mainly Facebook and Twitter, because they're the worst ones, it is not from me, friends. So just block that profile, report it first. It is not me. You will not get a private message from me on any private platform. It just is not going to happen, just so you know. Thanks for telling others. Down below in the description, you'll find the link to all my platforms, including Rumble, Spotify. You can find me there. You can find Tuesday's show on Spotify, usually by Wednesday. Follow me on all those platforms, including the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit platform of supporters. Check that out down below, and I appreciate. And down below on this platform, you can find memberships down below and be a monthly supporter here on YouTube, which I appreciate greatly. All my supporters who make this free content possible for everybody else. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Also, go to my website for more information. Joseph Tittel, Tittel, EL, friends, not LE. I'm not a title. I'm a tittle. EL. Or you could just go to spiritmanjt.com. That's a little bit easier to remember. Either one of them will work. You'll also find my master classes start at the end of August, and there's a few slots left. If you want to know shamanic journey and build a deep connection with your guides and spirit allies, masterclass might be for you. Go check it out on my website, spiritmanjt.com. Let us move on, friends, to episode number 127.
Tea time, baby.
It appears to be getting dark outside at, what are we at, 1:28 p.m. here in Sedona, Arizona. When I am recording this, you'll be seeing this later. Hopefully these storms pass, because otherwise it'll affect my upload speeds, because I do have Starlink. So the energies are so out of whack, friends, to say the least, and they haven't even begun to go out of whack. We've seen one crazy event after another, and Spirit said that at the beginning of July that things were going to accelerate, with one event after another getting more and more shocking. How can they get any more shocking? It's been pretty shocking to begin with. One event after another, and some folks even believe that there has been some type of a timeline shift. Another Mandela effect, perhaps. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. Last week on the 17th, which was Wednesday here in the United States, we entered into the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo. Leos are lucking out because it's only in Leo until the 3rd. And on the 4th of August, we go into the direct retrograde in the sign of Virgo. And boy, that's when things are going to kick in. Also, not only did we just have that happen on the 17th, that was followed by the very magical full moon in Capricorn. And have you noticed that your memory of your dreams, and likely also your intuition, has become much more clear over the past few days since the full moon on Friday or on Sunday? And today's Tuesday, so the past couple days, we're still in that full moon energy. We're still bathing in it 3 days before, 3 days after. So we're bathing in it till all throughout tomorrow as well. And of course, again, a boost in your intuition has occurred. And always we should expect that right before, during, and after a full moon. Yesterday on the 22nd, we had the sun enter Leo, which is going to call all of us to embrace our inner light, to express ourselves, our true selves. It's very important. And to do so with confidence and to do so with joy. Coming up on Thursday, the 25th, we have Mercury entering Virgo. And this is where things start to get real, friends. Mercury entering Virgo on the 25th. This is when communication and thinking are going to become more analytical and detailed oriented. Remember to focus on practical solutions and clear communication. Retrograde is all about communication. So then we have Mercury going into Virgo. That's going to affect communication. It's going to be interesting. And remember, we only just stepped into the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. We're not even in the direct yet. It's going to remain in retrograde pre-shadow with Leo again until the 4th of August when we go into the direct. And that is all about communications, friends. Communication issues. People argue more often during retrogrades, direct retrogrades. People not only argue more, overall, many people seem to be very anger motivated. When we go into those cycles, very anger motivated. Therefore, it is pretty much guaranteed, especially with the current state of our world, that we are about to witness some big chaos on all different levels once we get into the month of August. And even before, we're already seeing it. We can only imagine what August has for us, friends. And I have no doubt that I'll be working on the August forecast and predictions this week, and I'll have that out either Monday or Wednesday of next week. It's going to be an interesting one. I think it'll be the most interesting forecast of the year. No doubtedly, the most interesting forecast and predictions of the year will be for August. And then the next one after that will likely be October. So remember last week I showed you a card. I should have brought them. I left them in my other room. I showed you those illuminated cards, if you know what I mean. And I showed you the one about the supernova. And I brought that up because they were telling us that there's going to be a nova event. Not a supernova, but a nova, which is more like a bright star in the sky that you'll be able to see from places like Florida. And I mentioned that, and that we were going to witness this at different points. again, such as in Florida, and I showed you the card for the supernova. And now Spirit shows me and confirms that we are actually going to see the supernova event that's going to take place in the not far off future. Like, basically not like the supernova that may appear like a bright star. It isn't going to be like that. This is going to be a supernova. That's why there's a card for it, I'm sure. A supernova effect that literally lights up parts of our entire solar system. And of course, I feel like for some reason the sun has something to do with this. Of course, the sun has something to do with everything, and so does the moon. But I feel like the sun has something to do with this, and it's going to be this extremely bright light that's even seen from places like Mars, maybe even as far out as Jupiter. That's interesting. Now, when is this going to happen? Well, honestly, I have no clue, friends. No clue. Spirit doesn't always give us timelines. And, we know timelines can shift and change, especially when we have dark, evil, deep state people working against us and changing timelines to their advantage. We hold in the light that they don't get their advantage. It's very important for humanity. So Bane's 2024 is in an 8 vibration, which is all about infinite possibilities. It's also all about economy and such. I wouldn't doubt at all that we would see such an event take place in the month, in the year before 2024 comes to a close. So what months would that be the most likely if it were to happen? I'd say, well, October is the 9 vibration, a reflection of what we're going to see next year. November is that 11 vibration and the 1 vibration on the universal month. So November would be a time as soon as it could happen. But I don't necessarily feel like it's going to play out that soon because I feel like there's too many prophecies and things that need to play out before that. And what Spirit shows me is that all the months this year, August, October, December 2024, are going to be like major time periods. And 2025, remember, is a 9 vibration. That's all about endings. Everything as we know it now, currently, even the economic system that we use will be completely different by the time we get to 2026. 2026 is a 1 vibration. It's new beginnings, new starts. It would make total sense that everything's aligned universally to happen in this time period. The 9 vibrations aren't easy. 2025 is not necessarily going to be an easy month. But remember, we're in charge of our future and we're in charge of what happens, and we can manifest anything. And I know that. I teach that. I know it works, and I'm blessed because of using law of attraction to my advantage. And yeah, there might be people running around screaming, pulling their hair out. Oh my Lord, Armageddon's here. But then there's going to be the other side of the fence where people are like, oh, it's a beautiful day. What can I do to help humanity? What can I do to make things better in this world? And that's the divide we're going to see. Those that are experiencing the Armageddon and those that are like, what can I do to help? What can we do to make this a better place? And that's going to be the light codes that come in and the awakenings that come in where, it's going to penetrate to certain people, especially those spiritually grounded people. And they're going to be on that side of the fence of, hey, what can I do to help? Let my light shine on this planet. And that's going to be awesome. But there's always going to be that other side. Every battery has a positive and negative. It doesn't matter. Everything in the universe works like a battery, including us, our lives. Some people are very plugged into the dark, negative vibration of the battery, right? And look what they get out of it. No juice out of their battery. Whereas some are too plugged into the positive and they spark everywhere they walk until they blow up. And then there's those that are balanced. And unfortunately, not everybody, most people probably, I would say, are not completely, truly balanced in the way that works for the universe and for our planet. But that's going to change. That is changing, actually, as we speak and hang out today with the tribe. So, again, when is this all going to happen? Not really clear. 2026 could make the most sense, or towards the end of 2025. And I haven't even looked into 2025 yet. Don't even want to go there yet. I mean, I already know some of the things that are going to happen. We talked about it here. Other than that, it could be. It's all about endings. In order to end things, we need a new beginning. A spark of light would be a new beginning, of course. And I showed you the video of what happens when the sperm meets the egg and there's this spark of light that's just so amazing. So amazing. So that spark of light is a new beginning. It's a new birth. Not just for us, because it's penetrating all the way to Mars. So the aliens and the humans that are on Mars, because there are humans on Mars, don't let them fool you, will be affected by this energy as well. So again, I'd say maybe August, October, December, those periods. Now, August, we have the energy shift, and then we have another one in the month of December, 2 of them. Those energy shifts always happen on the full moon when we're in a direct retrograde with Mercury. That next one happens on August 19th. So I didn't look at December. I forget which one, when it happens in December, and I can actually pull that up right now because it would only take a moment. July, August, September, October, November, December. So I would say in December, likely the 15th. December 15th. I think that'd be about right. And when it comes to the next energy shift, I mean, we and people are like, it always feels like we're in retrograde. Well, we are 6 months out of the year, friends. The pre-shadow, the direct, and the post-shadow is relatively about an 8-week cycle. So we're in it for that cycle, then we're out of it for 8 weeks, then we're back in it for 8 weeks, and then we're back out of it for 8 weeks. It's pretty much how it goes. So we come out of this one in early September. Where'd it go? We come out of this one early September. The direct we come out of on the 27th of August, and then we're still in the post-shadow till September 11th of all days. Then we go back into a pre-shadow on November 7th. So we only get a short break. It seems like a very short break this round, actually. Come to think of it, I think it is. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's about 7.5 weeks. Yeah, that's about right. So yeah, we are in them. And it really depends on other stuff that's going on. The numbers, the other astrology, the energies, all kinds of stuff. Spirit also says expect there to be huge flashes of light coming off the sun in the month of August, especially prior to the full moon. I would expect that if when California gets that big, not even California, the whole west coast, United States, all the way up to Vancouver, even up to Alaska, that big, massive quake that I saw visions of in my dream, that I was floating on this little island that broke off. It was really weird. Really, really weird. I would say that could very much happen right around August 19th, right around the full moon in August, or at the very end of the year, too, because Spirit says big surprises are coming from the Lord in the month of December, especially right around Christmas. I would expect some of that to be major snowfall. Lots of people being snowed in for the Christmas. That'd be nice. That'd be nice, snow and light the fireplace. I like that. So 2026, again, would make the most sense to me because that is the one vibration. That's when we start all over again. So right at the end of 2025 into 2026 is when I think that big flash and that big paradigm shift is going to occur. I hope it's sooner, and it may be sooner. But Spirit shows me that we still are on this bumpy road that we have to get through, and there's many big potholes up ahead that we have to avoid, like huge potholes that'll suck up the whole car. If you go into it, your whole car disappears. That's the vision. That's the way Spirit shows it to me. Spirit has also shown me conflict between the dark and light in the other dimension is basically about to go nuclear, metaphorically speaking, especially in the United States, where the deep state evildoers will do absolutely anything and everything to hold on to their power, including trying to take out an opposing candidate, DT, and even stooping as low as pulling a coup on the current President Biden. So sad. So sad. He's like, so I tried plugging into his energy today, and he just felt so, like, it felt bad. So, and I told you, Spirit told us they were going to manipulate his medicine and all on purpose. And I said that maybe a week ago, and then look what happened right after. All of a sudden, they say he has the bug. He does not have the bug, I can tell you that right now. They're telling you he has the bug, and he's locking himself down as if we're back in 2020, and you need to do that still. You don't need to do that still. I don't believe you do. I don't know anybody that's done that. So all of a sudden, we haven't heard from JB. He's completely quiet. I would expect, I told you back in, I don't know, over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, that he's in his 3-year right now. He goes into his 4 vibration in October. So October could be a month where we see those back-to-back presidential funerals coming up. It could be sooner. It could be August. Again, big surprises coming during these energy shifts. Big surprises. And we all heard that Biden very clearly. We heard that man. He wanted to push on. He was not giving up. Spirit told us he didn't want to give up because, Jill was pushing him and family was pushing him. Even though deep down inside he kind of did, but he wasn't giving up. He's not a man to give up. So instead they pushed him out. That's sad. And the rest of them, they pushed him out and then switched places. And more than anything, those people want to keep their jobs. That's what they want, friends. They want to keep their jobs, not even their jobs. They don't want to lose their power. Once they get onto that power, top of that power pyramid, they don't want to come down. So not to mention that their strong desires to ignite this great world conflict, because they feel like they believe this in their sick little minds that they're meant to do that for, of course, their master, the dark overlord, Lucifer, or whatever you want to say. And their desires to ignite this, and it's all spoken about in the prophecies. We've talked about it for decades now, over 15 years. So this global elite believe in their soul that they are meant to ignite this chaos, all in the name of, again, their God. We cannot forget the prophecies. Remember that. We cannot. And like Spirit said, some people are going to be living that prophecy. Oh my God, Armageddon's here. And then there's those that are not. How do you end up being one of those that are not? Don't plug into the fear. Know these events are coming. They're inevitable. They're going to happen. You drop into fear. You go into that energy. You go into that chaos. And then you get drugged into the side of the fence where Armageddon's happen. Or you stay plugged into love. You do the best you can to let your own light shine. First on yourself. Doing the things that you need to do, working on your emotions, working on being the best version of you that you can possibly be, and then allowing that light to shine upon others. And just staying plugged into love. Love, 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 to the point of you're just drowning in love. That's how you stay on the good side of the fence. I don't know what side of the fence you're on. I know what side of the fence I've been on for a long time. And I'm going to be over here watching the other side scream, Armageddon, oh my God. Because it depends, again, on what level you're on energetically, what dimension you're in. Because even though, like, those on this side of the fence, you're in the higher dimension and shift into the, say, 4D, 5D, and those don't, we're still going to see it, though. We'll still be able to see what's happening with the others. Interesting. I don't know how that's going to play out, friends. I have no idea. I just listen to what the spirits tell me. And I don't argue with them. Nope. I'll argue with others, but I won't argue with them. They're right more than I am, that's for sure. I don't argue with the spirits. So I hear many people talking about a future without any prophecies. I hear in comments and other people will talk about all these things happening, but they're leaving out these prophetic events. These prophetic events that are already happening in order. So they still got to play out, as I'm saying. So you have to watch. And again, it is what side of the vibration that you plug into. So the events are going to play out on one side or another. It's just up to you. It's in our hands. Being aware, being prepared, knowing these events are going to happen, and just sitting back and observing like it's a movie. Like you're watching a good horror movie, or a good adventure movie, or a good whatever kind of flick. Just a good one that has you on the edge of your seat. So we're going to still also witness that mark of the beast, which is already there, the Antichrist, all that. And I believe that Antichrist, I have no doubt, will be introduced next year. Maybe even the end of this year. Might even come soon. Jesus said there'd be signs in the heavens, right? There'd be signs in the heavens or the skies above. And now we've seen many of those signs happening, not just with UFOs and all other kinds of stuff, the little nova that's coming, all other kinds of weird things. We've seen, the clouds that form above us, if you know what I mean. That's signs in the sky for sure. The toxins that they spray, all that stuff. And there's so much more to come, Spirit still says, including more frequent visits and sightings of galactic beings watching the Earth. Being that things are going to get so intense, of course, it's going to ignite a lot more activity in the skies with aliens and such, the real ones. But of course, remember, half of the ones you see in the sky, more than half of what you see in the sky is government vehicles. That they hide the truth. That truth's coming out too. I expect big things to happen in the month of August when it comes to UFOs, aliens, and major disclosures. It's the 7 vibration, friends. Always happens. And it's a Mercury retrograde. And it's an energy shift, which is all about bringing out truth and bringing things to the surface. That's why these cycles can be challenging and intense. but they always bring out the best. You know, by the time it's all over, we just start shaking our heads trying to get our lives back in order for the next 8 weeks till the next one comes. So expect that. Expect tons of UFO, USO, alien, and other sky phenomena to ignite in August. And I have a feeling we're going to see that just within the next week. Because, you know, and you notice a lot of times that we talk about something on a Tuesday and within days it happens. Look, I put out the other video, even though I said it months before about the attempt on Trump. I said that actually years before, but I put out a video a day before it happened. Spirit showing us that it was on the table. The mafia, remember I was sitting at the table with mafia, and it's not the mafia. Again, it's metaphoric. Everything Spirit shows me needs to be interpreted. And Spirit showing me that I'm sitting at the table with mafia just is indicating a group of higher up people that are crime connected, which is the globalists, of course, you know, the elite. Secret Service, all of them. They're all part of it. So thankfully we have already seen there already has been, and whether you've seen it or not, some timeline shifts. And Spirit says there's more heading our way. And some folks are now believing that there was just recently, maybe over the past couple weeks or this month in July, there was another timeline shift which caused the Mandela effect. You know what the Mandela effect? We discussed the Mandela effect. I went thoroughly into it on one of the episodes. I don't know when. That was probably at least 6 months ago. We talked about the Mandela effect. And if you want to know more about it, don't ask in the comments. Just go and type it in your search and watch some videos on it. There's tons of them out there. The Mandela effect basically is when we remember things differently than they actually are currently. So, for example, think about this. Do you remember Jif peanut butter? I do. I remember the commercial with the kid, and I remember Jif peanut butter. They tell us now that it's Jiffy. The Jif peanut butter never existed. It's always been Jiffy. Not in my mind. And then they're telling us it's our memory recollection's bad. Nope, sorry. There's another one. You remember Ed McMahon and the Publisher Clearance House contest? I remember Ed McMahon knocking on doors and handing out the money and how he was a big part of it. And Publisher's Clearance House says Ed McMahon was never a part of Publisher Clearing House. That is so not true. I remember them on the envelopes and the mailings. Because I used to enter them all the time. You know, I was a young kid, but I still entered them all the time. And they tried to sell you magazines. Remember that? And it was always Ed McMahon. But they tell us, nope. You got bad memory skills. Here's the latest one that makes people think that there's been another one. Timeline shift. Remember, you know, Tinkerbell in all the movies, the beginning of the movie. I should have found the clip to play it for you here. And in the beginning of the movies and even the TV shows on the Disney Channel going back, Tinkerbell always flies out of the castle with her pixie dust. And she always takes her magic wand and puts a dot over top of the eye in Disney, right? You remember that. I'm not making this up. Well, they're telling you are making it up because she never dotted the eye on top of Disney. And that's the latest. I thought that was interesting, to say the least. I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Let's move on to the cyber attacks, because last week, United States experienced the largest data outage in history, which is now being blamed on a company called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, who claims this is a result of a Microsoft update or upgrade or something like that. That's what they're saying it is. Spirit just told us, even just last week, that there was going to be a test, that they were going to test the grounds to see how successful they could be in the future. And then just 3 days later, that happens? I don't believe in coincidences, friends. Everything from banks to ATM machines to airlines and even 911 emergency calls were completely unavailable. And did you just hear about the 911 call system? They're moving over to Israel. Why would Israel run our 911 call systems? Makes no sense, friends. There's some shady poo-poo going on. I was going to say something else, but you know what I was going to say. Crazy. So this is why Spirit tells you to have cash on hand. And someone mentioned this, and I didn't think of this because I have just a couple $100 bills, stashed. They're like lower dominational bills. I'm like, that's a good idea. I probably should go break those hundreds. into smaller bills, and I will, because it's a good idea. You should have small domination, and maybe even some silver medals, or as I told you, something to trade. Last week, Spirit again told us that the global elite were about to test the waters with a small cyber attack before launching the big one. Except the one that we just had wasn't small, that's for sure. Again, it was the biggest one ever. Just days after Spirit told us, the largest outage in history. Now imagine what that would be like if they were actually successful. What would that be like? What would our state of being be in the country and in the world right now? Because if America's cut off, the rest of the world gets cut off as well. And I don't think the rest of the world realizes it. Now we're finding out, and I feel, and Spirit says this, these outages, expect that to happen in cyber attacks in the UK and throughout Europe as well, all around the same time. So they're not just launching this against the United States, they're launching this against other countries too and allies. Again, to make it look like it's Iran and Russia and China and try to cause world conflict. They want to do this before the elections because they want, or before the elections because they want to make sure they stay in power. And again, they'll do anything. If you look back at history, any president that started a conflict got reelected the next term. So I think that's what they're hoping for. But it's not going to be Kamala. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So CrowdStrike. So now they're finding out that not only is CrowdStrike affiliated with BlackRock, they are also members of the WEF, the W, the E, and the F. You can go right to the World Economic Forum website yourself and see that they are a big part of it, CrowdStrike. There's even more shady stuff about CrowdStrike you may not know about. It was a few years back that WEF, now going back to WEF, they put in our faces that there was going to be a huge cyber attack that would be the worse than the 2020 bug. Remember? WEF puts out predictions, and they're always right. Why? Because they're in control. Or they're part of the control with the UN and the richest families. And, we went in depth with this before many times. It's interesting, isn't it? And they warned us about it. And now we see it starting to play out slowly but surely. And they are certainly plotting and planning. And from last week's outage, that was not, Spirit said that right away. That is not what they're telling you it is. It is not a glitch in their system. It's them testing the systems in accordance to Spirit. This was a test, and how far are they going to go? Other than a software outage. Now check this out. Check out this tweet from this person that says, CrowdStrike is a cyber firm that generated the claim that Russia hacked the DNC, setting off Russiagate. Even though CrowdStrike was working for the Clinton campaign, the FBI relied on it rather than independently investigating the hacked DNC servers. There you have it, friends. It's all one big old web of darkness, and we must dismantle the web of darkness and replace it with our web of light, our web of life. And that's what we're going to do. So in order to keep the current global cabal in power, the deep state or whatever you want to refer to them as, especially in the White House, they need to fly their flags ever so falsely, orchestrating some type of an event in which they blame Iran, Russia, maybe even China. And read my lips, friends, and remember that I told you this. When this cyber massive attack and outage comes, and it will. So again, mark my words, when this massive, large cyber attack and big outages, including outages of your power, does occur, when it comes, don't panic, number one. Do not panic. Do not worry. It's all going to pass. But here's what's most important. It is not an outside attack by Iran or anybody when they try to feed you that in the media. And all the media puts out the same narrative. Spirit clearly is telling us that this is an orchestrated attack from inside. Remember my vision last week of the kill switch. All I saw was a switch that said kill switch. That's all I saw, like a light switch that said kill at the top, switch at the bottom. And I saw that it was on, and I saw somebody walk up and turn it off. So to me, there's just an on and off switch that they have. If Spirit shows me that, that's as easy. They don't need hackers. They can just walk right up and off goes the button. They probably created that button on purpose. And that's probably what they're going to do. Just kill switch. And you may recall but you may not recall this, but CrowdStrike was one of the ones that, again, helped Hillary Clinton come up with the fake Russia collusion story. We also know that Hillary wants nothing more than to rule the White House. She always has. She probably ruled it when Billy was president back in the day. And if you listen to people that worked in the administration back there, and even around Hillary, people have some stories about her and how absolutely nasty and awful she can be. She wants a world conflict, just like the rest of the cabal. They want a giant world conflict. And we would be in it already if back in 2017, we would have been in it. We bypassed that, thankfully. Thank the Lord for that. Again, pray every day, friends. Thank the Lord, thank Jesus, thank whoever you pray to that didn't happen. Because we bypassed the global world conflict several times already. And hopefully we will continue to keep bypassing it. But it's, again, being spiritually grounded, prayer, light a candle for peace and love on the planet. Plug into the love. We can shift things. We got to shift things. We will shift things. But she, once again, nothing more in the world. You know what else Spirit showed me? Spirit showed me a vision of her just recently on the full moon. And believe it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, Spirit shows me visions. I trust my guides more than anything. I moved across country on trust from my spirit guides. They told me, and I just did it. Friends were like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "My spirit guides told me." And they look at you like you have 5 heads. Best decision I ever made. Thank you, spirits. Best advice they ever gave me. And they gave me lots of good advice. But that's probably was the best. So Spirit showed me a vision of Hillary in a ceremony in a black robe, of course, during the last full moon. So this was just on Sunday. Dressed in all black, surrounded by all women. It was all women in this ceremony I saw. And they were conjuring God only knows who in this ceremony. It definitely wasn't God, and it certainly wasn't Jesus. In hopes that she would take the White House in 2025. So I'm thinking, again, with all this and her doing ceremony, and right now in her mind, she thinks she's stepping in. If we go back to, many years back, at least 4 years ago, Spirit said we would see a repeat of 2016. The only other repeat would be the same cabal, right? So, like Michelle Obama, for example. She's part of it. Because, let's face it, if Michelle steps into the race and anybody votes for her, that is extremely less than smart thing to do. Because it is not going to be her. She is not going to be the president. It'll be her husband. He is one of the third term. Remember, there's a video of him saying it. If I could have a third term and talk in their ear while they're up on stage, that's exactly what he did. He's going for a 4th term now. Going for a 4th term. That man's dangerous, and I know people don't see it. I didn't see it in the beginning. I actually voted for him in the beginning, back in the day, before I switched. I didn't flip-flop. I just switched. There's a difference. So again, friends, just be aware. Tap into your intuition, and that's going to be the great thing about these flashes of light codes coming in that change people. People are waking up to it. I've seen it after the attempt on Trump. I've seen people on Facebook saying, "Oh, nope, I'm changing now. I'm changing my mind. I'm doing things differently." That's what we need. Sometimes it takes events and light codes both to make people shift their direction or shift their mind. And Spirit says the corruption is just deep. So let us pray that it does not happen and that we don't end up on the negative timeline. We ended up on the positive timeline. Even though I got to be honest with you, certain things, again, are going to come into fruition regardless. It's all part of the waking up of the masses and more than anything, getting the corruption out into the light. The corruption in their evil agendas so the rest of the world can see. And I have told you all that Spirit continues to push me to alert the people to prepare. Remember, this is not about fear, friends. This is all about being prepared for what potentially could be on our doorsteps, potentially. And it will pass, remember that too. But these challenges are something that we must endure in order to awaken. So therefore, and again, be aware that they are there. These events are there and coming, and they're there to point out where everything goes, where we're going. And when everything does go dark, because it will go dark, for a period of a minimum of 3 days full in some places, but Spirit showed me some places are going to be dark for a while, some for a week, others places maybe even weeks, multiple weeks, especially in rural areas. I'm in a rural area. That's why I just got myself a little electric generator, just in case, not gas powered, but solar paneled. And then also places where they have a weak power grid, like, for example, Puerto Rico, we know has a very weak power grid. So places like that, they could be out for months. No power for a long period of time. And there's going to be, Spirit just said, there's going to be multiple events of where things go dark. But the darkness is there to help us reflect on the light. Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, that's what Spirit says. The darkness is there to help us reflect on the light. For us to take time out of the world, because nothing's going to work, no computer, you can't do anything, to sit back, meditate, pray, do lots and lots of prayer, and contemplate, and plug into the energies of love, not fear. Don't go outside. Don't plug into the chaos. Don't plug into it, especially if you're in a city or a place where there's too many people, or a lot of people. Not too many, but cities have too many people, but where there's a lot of people. Stay in. Stay away from the chaos. Especially what's coming in August, especially for Chicago. So have enough water on hand. When the power goes down again, so does your water, so does everything else. Gas pumps, it all goes down, friends. So have a small propane grill or a little camping cooking stove. You can get them pretty cheap. Some flashlights and, anything else you need to see, a little lantern. And of course, if you are in a big city or around a lot of people, make sure that you are able to protect yourself and your family. You should always be doing that anyway. When things are powered back up, until things are powered back up. And they will be powered back up. And as I said in the past, I believe it could be happening in August. But I still feel like they're doing stuff, again, purposely to bring chaos before elections even happen. So we're going to see a lot happen in October. Which is interesting. I didn't look at like anything astrological or other than the 9. We're in a 9 vibration in October. And again, October is always a reflection of what we're going to experience next year, personally and universally. So we always want October personally to be a really good month. You want to travel more next year, take a trip in October. You want more days off, take more days off in October. You're promoting it for next year. So what we see happening and playing out in the world is what we're going to see a whole lot of in 2025. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting, to say the least. And that 9 vibration is ending. That's why I say lots of people will pass during those windows of time. In October, a large amount of people exiting, and then 2025. By their choice. That's their soul contracts, friends. Spirit, again, showed me the kill switch. Basically on and off. And I believe October could be the month where we see it being turned off. But again, I feel something else big hitting around Christmas. Or more likely, Spirit's like closer to solstice. So Christmas is the 25th. Solstice is the 21st. And there are energy shifts. What did I say the date was for the full moon? In December 15th. Actually, it might not be. It might be November. The 15th of both months. So, that whole window of time between November 15th and December 15th. So that whole window of time feels pretty intense. And we're not going to go there. Let's get through July and August first before we jump all the way there. And Spirit says that Jesus has something special in store for humanity around Christmas. I can't wait to see what that's got to be. Let's move on to the White House. Because Spirit referred to it over a year ago, 7, as a great shaking coming to the White House. Remember, I think that was October or November last year in Channeled Predictions when I sit back in meditation and share with you what I see and hear from spirits. Now it appears to be shaking. The White House is definitely shaking right now. And that shaking has begun. But I don't think that's a great shaking. Not yet. The entire party and the government, for that matter, are completely out of hand, as we know. Completely out of hand. And call it what you want, but it truly appears, as I said earlier, without a doubt that they pulled a coup on President Biden. And shame on them for doing that to that man. For their evil ways, too. Lord, forgive them for their evil ways and their elder abuse and their lying to Americans that they continue to keep doing and have been doing and will still keep lying to us. Spirit shows me that they have been planning this behind Biden's back since before Christmas. So this goes back to last year they've been planning this. Before Christmas, Spirit said, of last year. And this should show us how bad his health actually really is. Because they've been planning this and needing to plan this since last year. So he's been bad. They put a lot of actors in his place, no doubt about it. Like that, I heard, what was it, a voicemail that he sent to Harris or somebody this morning. I'm like, that is not him. That is either AI or somebody talking like him. That is not him. Biden is totally not able to do that right now, according to Spirit. He's definitely not able to do that. Spirit doesn't tell me why. So either he's, again, on his end of his life bed or he's gone already. I don't think he's gone yet, though. I know people say that, but I don't think he's gone yet. And you remember I saw a stretcher taking somebody out of the White House. I would have thought that would have been Biden, but he's not at the White House anymore. He's now in Delaware. Maybe. We don't even know if that's true. So who could it be at the White House? Now, again, sometimes I get things ahead of time. Could it be who goes into power next? Because, they're going to do everything to lie, cheat, and steal this next round like they did the last round. And I know people have a hard time believing it or seeing it, but it's just truth. Plug into the intuition. Plug into the universal energy. The universe will tell you what's really happening without any interruptions. I say they're all just corrupt. What we really need more than anything is somebody to go into place that, isn't associated with that whole thing. And that can't happen because, they got to go through the process, right? Be a senator first or whatever. They got to go through some kind of process in order to get there. I think they're better off just finding a strong woman with kids and a family right off the streets. We'd have better chances. That's what we need. Because I said something about Harris and, people in their comments, the trolls in their comments. Oh, you're a woman hater. I'm the guy that said that we need a woman president. Just not her, baby. Just not her. It's not going to work. And they're not going to let her in there anyway. I got news for you. This is all just a show before the next show. I remember I saw her visually disappointed in the corner, is what Spirit showed me. And more than anything, again, what Spirit says is they want to keep their jobs. They want to stay in power and perhaps even rise higher in power if they can. So whether you like Joe Biden or not, again, he's out. And Obama's hand is literally the hand that's on the dagger that's coming out of his back. That's sad. And this is how absolutely desperate Obama, and his little cronies are to keep this power. And if this does not wake people up, then the only thing that's going to wake people up, friends, is God coming down on a cloud himself. Or Jesus descending down from the heavens or something. This just ain't working. My timing was off. I figured that they would wait until the very last minute, October. But maybe that waiting to the last minute October is maybe more connected to Kamala. I don't know. Imagine if, I thought the double presidential funeral I saw, remember Spirit showed me 2 back-to-back and then 1 a little bit later, so 3 altogether. Could it be her, too? Could it be not Jimmy Carter? Could it be Biden? Well, I said Biden and Jimmy Carter, but who could be the third one? Could it be Trump? Or could it be her, Kamala? I saw her again disappointed. And apparently, again, according to those troll comments on anti-woman, I am so for women. You don't know me. Obviously, to leave an ignorant comment like that, you know nothing about me. So don't try to believe you know who I am based on my intuitive abilities and what I put out on my show. And this is all coming from Spirit, friends. I lie in between. I could care less really about any of them. The only thing I care about is that our country and our world goes into a better level of consciousness, into a better level of love, and that all the corruption and all this comes out into the light. So many of us can turn and say, told you so. That's going to be the best part, when people are able to say, I told you so. You were just so blind. You had a blindfold on. Just couldn't tell. I lost my spot here. Let's see. So, someone said Kamala. Her name's Kamala. Someone's like, you can learn to say her name. People get so angry in the comments. And you know what I do? Block. It's Kamala. That's what they say in the media. They call her Kamala. How am I saying her name wrong? Kamala. It's all the same. I'm going to call her Harris from now on. So that way you don't have to tell me how to pronounce anybody's names. It's Mrs. Harris from now on. And so Mrs. Harris, certainly, I saw her again, sadly, in the corner looking very, very disappointed in one of my visions. And her connections are not deep enough, Spirit says. Her deep state connections aren't deep enough. That's how Spirit said it. They're not deep enough. And Biden is really angry at Obama. That was my feeling, and that's what Spirit said. Hence, purposely pushing, her into the spotlight. Biden did that on purpose. Hurried up and pushed her in the spotlight because he was mad that they pushed him out. Because I don't think that that's what they really wanted, is her to be pushed in the spotlight right away. They have another agenda. And you got to remember, the Clintons actually, supported her, gave her, the okay from the Clintons. The Obamas did not. Obamas don't like her. I'm telling you, they don't like her. They don't want her. And Obama wants to keep power, friends. He's been running it. We heard him say it in video before. If I could do that, I will. And he did. And we know he has. And I bet that he's at the top of the cabal that is responsible for what happened to DT. I'll put money on that too. And I really hold in the light and pray to the Lord that that truth comes out and those people go to jail where they belong. Should not harm others just because you don't like them. You should not put out harm to others. Again, I don't like Biden, but what they're doing to him, I think, is absolutely horrific and sad. That's sad. That poor man, that poor little old man. Imagine if that was your dad or your grandpa. So he's not endorsed. She's not endorsed, and I can only, again, remind you of my vision of seeing her disappointed. I don't know what she was disappointed about, but I saw her disappointed in the corner looking sad, and I saw that, a week or two ago. Maybe, she's going to have a dagger in her back, and who's going to be holding it on the other end? Probably the same people. I actually feel sorry for her, too. She looks like all happy now, like, oh, look, they like me, and it's all just a show. So I actually feel sorry for her, too. And, Hillary's over there. Spirit says Hillary wants it so bad. She's over there praying to her demons. So some big shocking events are going to come out at the DNC. And check this out, this affiliation with Harris. I just wanted to put this out there just so you know, because they're all affiliated. I tell you, Uniparty friends, they're all friends. They're all friends. They go to each other's weddings, including this guy here. You know about this guy here. I'll show you this picture. I wonder why the Clintons are endorsing Harris. Of course they're endorsing her because they all hung out on that island together. Here's the picture of the two of them to prove the connection. Funny, huh? Interesting. Now here, what's even more interesting is the DNC dates. This is wild, friends. I don't know who chose the dates for the DNC in August, but whoever chose those dates, perhaps they should have consulted a psychic, an astrologer, and a numerologist all in one, because they picked the worst dates ever, friends. And let me tell you why. The DNC starts on August 19th. Do you know what's August 19th? The full moon comes in on August 19th. And I haven't even looked at anything for August yet, other than the fact that we're in a 7 vibration universally on the planet. How do we come up with that? We add the year, which is an 8, to the month. 8 and 8 is 16. 6 plus 1 is 7. We're in a 7 vibration, which is all about changing your beliefs, changing everything you think and what you believe in. A shift in consciousness always happens when we're in a 7 vibration. Big time. That's August. But the 19th of August is the full moon. The full moon during Mercury retrograde also ignites the tsunami wave energy shift. I've been talking about these for over 15 years. And always big significant events happen. Always when we're in that retrograde direct energy cycle, but especially when the energy shift comes in for that 13 to 15 day cycle, depending, it varies. This one happens to be, how long is this one? The August one is exactly 2 weeks, I believe, 14 days. I think that's correct. But regardless, it's the energy shift. Tsunami waves of energy come in. Those tsunami waves of energy bring out truth. They also bring out chaos. And that's a 2-week cycle. The DNC's the 19th to the 22nd. 22. We talk about that number all the time. The 11, the 22. There's certain dates that they use. The 13th. Look at the Trump thing happened on the 13th. They use certain dates for certain things. 22 and the 11 are master numbers, 11, 22, 33. That's why you see Freemasons using that number 33 all the time. All the time are the triple threes. It's one of their numbers. Big events, if you look back at major pow events that have happened in the past, going back decades, you'll see many of them, not all of them, but a large amount of them happened on the 22nd. Then we have 11 days. The 11th, the 29th. 9 plus 2 is an 11, so it makes it an 11 day. And also a 2 vibration on top of that, but we always look at the 11. So the 22nd is the day they're ending it on a 22 master day. 22 is also a date they often do sacrificial types of ceremonies in different types of belief systems. Is that a good way of putting it? I think that's a good way of putting it. 22nd to 19th. Friends. I looked at, I was like in shock yesterday. I can't believe I didn't notice that. I mean, I don't pay attention to conventions or politics. I only do it because y'all want to hear about it. Other than that, I really could care less. I'm kind of over some of the nasty comments from people anyway, thinking that they believe they know who you are when they don't. It just drives me crazy. But I do this for you because I love you, and we need to know because, unfortunately, politics have a lot to do with what's going to happen in our world and what is happening in our world. So along with this, I got some information today that aligns with past visions and predictions. I see a large building exploding. I saw this in past channeled predictions. I think the ones from back on July 4th, maybe, that I put out. And the more I tune into this, I believe this is a hotel. Even more likely, a hotel that's housing important guests staying in this hotel or staying in this building. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen at the DNC in Chicago, but it would make most sense. Remember, Spirit shows us things in puzzle pieces that we often have to put together. When past predictions come up again, it's often because we get more detail or because they're on our doorsteps now. So this was back early July. DNC again, 19th through the 22nd of August. It could very likely happen during then. That would make a lot of sense in the aspect that if they wanted to pull off something, and a threat to democracy, as they keep telling you, that is a threat to democracy. Everything's a damn threat to democracy. The funny thing is we're a republic, not a democracy. A republic is based on the Constitution. We're a republic. Because when I was a kid, it was, I pledge allegiance to the flag to the United States of America, one republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's a republic. I know people like to argue in the comments, no, we're a republic. They want us a democracy because as a democracy, they can control you more. And then your constitutional rights go out the door. Yeah, so educate yourselves, friends. Educate yourselves. Don't let them trick you. They're very good at tricking us with their words and with their things. So this would make sense to me that they would try to do this in a building where somebody important is staying. Now, again, this doesn't have to be in Chicago, but it does make sense. And I believe there's going to be many big explosions that are coming. And I believe these are fear type of attacks, without saying the actual word. And this again aligns with past predictions. Chicago, New York, and Paris. I see huge fires in Paris. I see huge fires in Chicago. And I see problems with the tunnels in New York City. I've said this before, but I feel like we're approaching then if Spirit's showing it to me now. Remember I had visions. I forgot all about this. Spirit's reminded me. Visions of New York City being cut off, kind of like it was back on 9/11, where, National Guard were guarding the tunnels and the bridges and everything. I saw a vision of that again. And I saw something with the tunnels and something with a vehicle driving through the tunnels with a lot of boom booms aboard. So let's hope that does not happen, and that's not part of what they're going to try to attempt to do. Now, in that case, interesting enough, Spirit says that actually would be a fear-related attack by the Middle East. So that would actually, when they tell us that, that'll actually be true. So it won't be an inside thing. It will actually be Iran trying to come in and attack our country. Same thing with Paris. Paris, there'll be flags that fly ever so falsely, but there's also a plan by those in Iran and Mossad and all those groups to do some things in Paris. I talked about Paris a year ago or earlier in January's World Predictions. And I didn't know the Olympics were taking place there, nor did I know the Olympics were taking place during this energy, all this energy coming up in August. And I forget the dates of it. I should have looked up the dates. What are the dates? Let's ask this crazy lady that listens to everything we say. What are the dates of the Olympics in Paris?
Here's what's coming up in the Summer Olympics between Friday and the 11th of August, 2024.
So July 26th. So did they start already? It was today. Today's the 23rd. So they start this weekend until July 11th. There's that 11 day, friends. There's that 11. Creepy. So I don't know if that's correct or not. I was just curious as I'm talking to you beautiful souls. I was just curious when that is. But we talked about Paris. I told you I saw big fires in Paris. Told you I saw attacks happening around the Eiffel Tower. I saw that, and then we saw it happen. Remember that little thing that happened at the Eiffel Tower? But then I told you it's going to happen again, but something much more bigger and direct. Talking about big and direct, look at the cover-ups that are happening around DT. Amazing. The director of the Secret Service. Did you watch the clips of her, friends? Did you watch the clips of her? My friends, and I have one friend that's a breast cancer surgeon. She calls me her human CAT scan because I've literally sent a lot of people to her from readings where I saw something in their chest and told them they needed to go to her to get a mammogram. Long story short, they found out that there was something there and they needed to get it taken care of. I just wonder how many people I told that to that didn't take that advice. Same with being a walking lie detector test. I could tell when somebody's lying. Not at all. It's so easy. Look at what's her name? I forget her name. Kim something or whatever. The Secret Service director who finally just resigned. As I told you, she will. She has to. She's going to be forced out. When you watch her in that little interview, meeting or whatever, she's lying. You could see it in her eyes. I'm like, she knows. Not even lying, not the lie part. She knows what happened. I could see in her eyes that she knows exactly, which means she's a part of it. That's why she resigned. Because she don't want it to come back on her. So today she's a very bad liar, by the way. Very, very bad liar. You're a Secret Service. Don't you have to go through tests to be a Secret Service person? You're supposed to be a good liar. You could see, go watch that thing again. If you didn't see it, go watch her eyes when she's talking. You can see that she knows in her eyes. It wasn't even the lying thing. I wasn't getting that. I was getting like, oh my God, she knows. She actually knows. Crazy. So, let alone her refusal to answer some of those questions, I thought was really shady. Really, really shady. You know, they got to hurry up and clean up the scene and clean up their stage so that you don't find any of the props they left behind. So, very important questions. She blew them all off, then she resigned. Now, as I said to you all, there's so much more truth that's yet to be released on this attempt on Donald Trump's life. No doubt at least half of the Americans, and not even just Americans, around the world, know, including those on the other side of the fence that might not have believed it before. They all know clearly now that this was a Secret Service, FBI, have something to do with this. Now we're hearing experts identify, and this was even on the controlling news network, the CNN, that there was an expert who identified the sounds being fired and now is saying that there were at least 3 firearms used. 3. At least. There might have been a 4th. There's one shot that he couldn't identify that was different than all of them, which makes it look like there's a 4th. I remember I told you, besides that, the Secret Service showed, remember Spirit told us over the weekend that right after it happened, I went live what was that, Saturday? I went live Saturday right after it happened. Not this past Saturday, but the week before when the attempt was made on DT. I told you there was somebody on the water tower. I felt I knew there was another person with a pow because Spirit told us JFK, repeat JFK, and then Ronald Reagan. And that's exactly what we saw, a combination of those both put together because he walked away from it. So that's the Ronald Reagan aspect. Ronald Reagan was hit. DT was hit. Whereas JFK, there were multiple pow-pows. We know this, which is really funny. And then somebody on the water tower, Spirit told us that. And when Spirit told us that, it wasn't until after Spirit told us that now it's coming out that there was somebody on the water tower. And again, someone in the comments was like, oh, that's been debunked. No, it has not. You debunked it because you don't want to believe it, is more like it. Clear as day, I showed the video here. You could see the person at the top stand out and then step back behind it and stand back out again. It's there. And I bet you there'll be more video that'll come out with that too. Now, there are people are saying that he used a zip tie to get down and got in a black SUV. I was going to say UVS. Dyslexia, baby. Turn things backwards all the time. And we didn't have that when I was in school. So when I had problems reading, they didn't know that. Now I don't have problems because now I can identify. Crazy. Now, they say this black SUV that he was in was registered to the Department of Agriculture. Now, I don't know. This is just hearsay on the internet. There's no evidence of this where I showed you the evidence of the guy or we don't even know if it's a guy, but there's somebody on the tower. 100% somebody on that tower. Clear as day that there's someone on that tower. What are you going to say? It's a shadow from the sun or some other BS because you don't want to believe it. So again, save your comments. They'll just end up getting deleted. We only go by the evidence. So as far as the zip tie and the Department of Agriculture vehicle, not sure about that. Spirit didn't show me anything about that. I don't know anything about that. Spirit said water tower. We do have the video of the water tower. So other than that, crazy amounts of trolls lately. And this is not even the trolls, it's the energy. Energy brings out certain aspects of people, brings out anger in people. People don't want to believe things. And that's what's going to shift when we get into August. People are going to change their beliefs. They're going to be like, oh my God. They could be on one side of the fence and totally switch to the other side of the fence. You might not believe in UFOs, and then all of a sudden we're seeing all these UFOs, and then you believe in UFOs. That's why they purposely put out all that UFO alien stuff last year. That people think it was real, and it was really put out purposely to change your beliefs, to get people not to believe. And then, of course, the Pope comes out and says all of a sudden there's no hell. So they want to change your beliefs. Stick with your beliefs. Stick with your ancestors and loved ones always taught you. Stick with your beliefs, friends. Spirit says that there is so much more being hidden behind the curtain of the event that took place on July 13th. Truth will prevail, and the Clinton crime family, of course, is going to do everything possible to destroy not only Trump, but his family as well. So when they can't get you, they go after your family. And over the past weekend, I felt some type of tragedies hitting the Trump family. Perhaps, I don't know what, just felt like a sad time for the family and a tragedy for the family. And I felt like a tragedy for DT too, so I don't believe it's him being taken out because they're going to try again. I believe it's somebody else within his family. And I don't know if somebody's passing. I don't know. All I know is I felt like a tragedy was hitting his family. Perhaps an accident. I don't know. And if it is some type of an accident, I would tell you it's likely not an accident, if you know what I mean. So I would tell you to pray for our country. Pray for all the leaders because they all need it, whether you like it or not. And more than anything, pray for love and peace to prevail in our planet Earth. That's what we need. Pray that God prevails and the darkness falls. And it will. But the more we pray, the faster we can make it happen, right? The faster, the more of us that hold things in the light, the more powerful we are, the more we can shift things in a better direction, and the faster we can make things happen. Remember, Spirit said there's an acceleration happening, and we feel it this month. We were told, I think, back on July 4th, actually, that same video, an acceleration of events where we're going to see one thing after another, boom, 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 boom. It started on July 13th, friends. Maybe even sooner. Did you also notice? I thought this was very, very interesting. I meant to mention it in one of the past videos, but I didn't, so I got to mention it today. You know that if you watch the video with the time when the first Pow Pow was fired on July 13th. It was exactly 6:11. There's that 11 again, friends. 6:11 p.m. 6:11, of course, adds up to an 8 vibration. We're in an 8 vibration on the planet Earth right now, which is about infinite possibilities. Of course, economic and all kinds of other things too. But mainly infinite possibilities and the infinity symbol, right? Anything is infinitely possible. And I believe the divine creator universe was showing us that on that day. Anything is infinitely possible. And 611, of course, they'll say is an angelic number. They're all angelic numbers. Every number has some type of frequency to it. So all numbers are angelic, especially, 3-digit numbers, even 4-digit numbers like 1122, or you can even say 2233. That'd be a cool address to have, 1122. 1122 Universe Drive. I want that address. 1122 Universe Drive. It's a good address. Wonder if it exists. It probably does exist. So 611, an angelic number, again, breaking down to the number 8. Not only that, check out this quote from the Bible. I saw this posted and saw a lot of people talking about this. It's from chapter 6, verse 11. So there's your 611 again, friends. Says, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we are not contending against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against the world rulers of the present darkness, against the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So it's interesting. People, again, especially a lot of churches, put this out because they believe that relates to him having a whole armor of God around him, protecting him. I don't believe in coincidences. So, whether, again, you like the person or not, there's no coincidences. So no doubt powerful forces have prevailed in the United States from the inner conflict, from preventing this inner conflict and a major civil war within our country. The United States definitely has shifted. And I got to remind you what, again, going back to that July 4th video, what Spirit told us about Saint Germain's sacred flame being ignited in the world leaders that were receptive to that sacred flame. We were told not everybody was. Most were not. But we were also told that sacred flame would be ignited in DT between the 11th and the 15th of July. What falls in that 5-day period, right in the middle, the 13th. Again, no coincidences. Find that very, very fascinating and interesting. Let's move on to in other news and predictions. Animals are evolving. Did you hear about that? This is kind of creepy, friends. Animals are evolving to a point that here in Arizona, rattlesnakes are no longer using their rattles. That's right. Rattlesnakes are evolving and no longer using their rattle to warn you. I thought that because, I always learned when I moved here, if you hear that rattle, you freeze solid. You don't move. You look for where it's at and you hurry up and back away very, very quickly. But what if they don't know how to use their rattle anymore? They're not warning you that they're there. I thought that was pretty creepy. Which means we're evolving too. Next thing you know, we'll be growing tails like dogs. I'm kidding. We're not. I hope not. That'd be awful. That'd be really, really freaking weird. New Jersey Senator Democrat convicted of corruption, Bob Menendez. Spirit told us we were going to see so many arrests and so much corruption coming out. And he's one of the demis. Wonder what he had to piss somebody off along the line. Probably somebody within the deep state. I would love to know that story. But really, I don't want to know that story. But I brought it up today because Spirit shows me that's just the first. There's going to be so many more rolling out. You just wait over the next year and over the next few years. So is the mark of the beast here? I did a video a while back, a couple years ago, on the mark of the beast. Really, I thought it was a really good video. I'll leave a link up above so that you can check it out. The mark of the beast. Is it out, friends? Is it out? Is the mark of the beast here? I want you to check this out because I thought this was super duper creepy. Check out this clip right here.
Communication is irritating. This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication. It may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch, and it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token.
So does that tattoo thing remind you of anything? Do you think of anything in your mind at all? I mean, contemplate on the whole tattoo thing for a minute. And marking people with tattoos. Now, we know they do that to cattle, right? They do that with cattle. They brand them. They brand them and tag them. But they did that to other people, too. If you remember, back in Germany, back in the day, during that second conflict in the world, they started to tattoo innocent folks being detained in their little camps. And we know all about the FEMA camps here in the United States. And not only that, we know that now they just approved billions of dollars to build more. More of these places that they're now calling smart cities. They're not calling them FEMA camps. They're calling them smart cities. Are you smart enough to realize once you go in, it's like the Hotel California, baby. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Nope. Just like the Hotel California. Don't go to that smart city, friend. You'll never get out. You'll have to eat the bugs. You'll be limited to everything. What you eat, how long you sleep. Again, it would be a prison cell. Just a big one. We talked about very often about weather manipulation and the streams of smoke, above us in the skies. Something that is actually called SAIs. Stratospheric aerosol injection. That's what it is. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Look it up for yourself. There's a whole website that I just found, and I was going to show it to you today, but there's just not enough time. There's a whole website. I'll have to show it to you next week. Crazy website that shows you exactly where they're doing it, what they claim they're doing it for, and it's wild. Really wild. But I found this old clip. And I wanted to put this in here because we were just talking about Prince over the past, since the 13th, or actually before that, because I was told after Prince's death that purple flame of Saint Germain and Archangel Ezekiel was coming to the earth back then. Apparently they came and left, and now they're back. So I came across this clip of Prince that I thought was really interesting, and I just had to share it with you. Check it out.
When I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time and say, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing and you didn't know why.
And here's another interesting clip I just happened to stumble upon that I have to share with you. And I ask you the question, did Jesus Christ appear after tornadoes in Oklahoma City back in the day? I don't know when this was. I think it was 2013 maybe. I don't think it was recent. But remember my visions and predictions, and this is what made me struck me as being important, was my vision and my predictions for Oklahoma City from last year. So we're still waiting for that to come into fruition. I was reminded of what Timothy McVeigh did back in Oklahoma City, but I also was told a great shaking. So I took it as a massive earthquake, like taking down buildings and such. That's how I took it. So is there any coincidence to this clip right here that I came across, again, that I just have to share? I think, again, it goes back to 2013, but it's still quite symbolic, to say the least, especially being it's going around on the internet right now. Even if it did happen in 2013, I've never seen this clip before, and all of a sudden now it's making its rounds on the internet. That would be more significant to me. And I certainly never again recall seeing this in the past. No coincidences. Check it out.
Channel 7 Sky Chomper News here, looking at the widespread destruction in the aftermath of the tornado that hit Sunny Hills Trailer Park today. It is a miracle that anybody survived. We'll be checking in on this story a little later. Jenny, back to you in the studio.
Do you remember last week I was just talking about Clint Eastwood? I love Clint Eastwood. That man's in his 90s. Bless him, bless him, bless him. And I told you, I felt he kept popping in my mind, Clint Eastwood. So I took it as that it's a time he's going to pass away and sometime in the near future. I figured it'd be between now and early 2025. Just days after I stated that Clint Eastwood, I felt like he was going to pass, ironically, it was his partner that actually passed. I forget her name. Forgive me for that. But she was 61 years old, which is young. 61, especially married to someone in their 90s. He's 30 years older than her. Oh, you go, Clint. You go. I bet this all leads to Clint passing from a broken heart. That's a real thing. Ask the doctor that knows what they're doing. They'll tell you brokenheartedness is definitely a true thing that leads to people passing all the time. I seen it with my grandma after grandpapa passed. Brokenhearted. So that's where I'm going to say that I feel that Clint is going to follow in her footsteps. And I also saw visions of a big honoring of Clint Eastwood at the Oscars. So I don't think the Oscars are, I know they're not till next year, I believe. I'm not sure when they are, but I saw a big honoring him at the Oscars, and I feel like this would be the next Oscars. So prayers to Clint and his family. Moving on to malaria outbreaks, because remember Mr. G released hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of what we were told were genetically modified mosquitoes that were allegedly there to kill off the bad mosquitoes. Remember that? Big deal it was. I showed you visions of the helicopters letting them out. Now, 5 cases of malaria have broken out. 4 cases in Florida and 1 case in Texas. The first time in decades malaria was even reported in the United States. Some say it's being brought over by the people that are crossing the borders illegally. But have you ever considered? Think about this, friends. I know that's what they would want you to think right away again, but you got to consider all things. Remember, Spirit always said to me, nothing is as it appears to be. Always dig deep, always look deeper. So just putting this out there, have you considered that this could be a part of their evil agenda all along? Release the mosquitoes, tell you they're fine, they're safe. All of a sudden, malaria breaks out as they open up the borders and in turn purposely blame the people that are coming across the borders, causing more division and causing more hatred. Ding, ding, ding. My bell goes off, friends. The bell in my brain goes off. Released all those mosquitoes in Florida. And friends and family that I have in Florida tell me it's the worst mosquito season they've ever seen. The worst. So I would expect more outbreaks. And friends, I don't know if this is true, but I saw a video. The girl said you put vanilla extract in a bottle with water and spray that, and it keeps away mosquitoes and it has you smelling fresh like chocolate chip cookies. It's one thing we don't really have a problem with here, knock on wood. But don't knock on wood. Don't want to summon no demons. We don't get mosquitoes. If you go down by the water, there are, because it's the water, of course. There's mosquitoes anywhere there's water. And we don't really get them here. And thankfully, because mosquitoes love me, I must have sweet nectar in my blood because they love me, and I get big welts. I don't miss that. Because back east, I couldn't even go into my garden. I had to wear long pants, sweatpants, long sleeves, and put something over my head to go out in my garden because the mosquitoes were so bad. But also, my neighbors back in Levittown had a swimming pool in their backyard that was filled with sludge for like 10 years. They never used it, never did anything with it. I offered to help him take it down. You know when he took it down? When he found out I was selling my house, then he took it down. Yeah, I'm so glad I don't live there anymore. So glad I don't live there anymore. So, some few predictions for you today. Sit right back and we'll hear a tale of a fateful trip. You remember that? Started on this desert isle aboard this tiny ship. I watched too many TV shows when I was a kid. I loved Gilligan's Island when I was a kid, but they had a shipwreck, right? That's allegedly how Gilligan's Island started. Well, that's why I thought of that song, because Spirit made me think of that song, which makes me relate to shipwrecks. But I'm also going to say, because Gilligan's Island, I'm going to say there's going to be a shipwreck that wrecks on an island where these people are stuck for quite some time before they are finally discovered. And it might be like a long time. And they might even be there now where they're shipwrecked and they're on this island now and all of a sudden they're discovered. And most of them make it, but not all of them. And I'm thinking there's either 6 or 9 people on this small ship. How many were on Gilligan's Island? Wasn't there 7 of them? I don't know if it's related to Gilligan's Island other than the shipwreck in the island, but that's what Spirit showed me. Not only that, lots of shipwrecks. And Spirit told us a while ago we were going to see a lot of things happening on the water, including a big accident with a water boat race, which we haven't seen happen yet. And hopefully we don't. I'd rather predictions be wrong than right, quite honestly. Of course, we want predictions to be right for the, the good count on accurate predictions. But at the same time, I'd rather most of them not come true because they're not all really all positive. But we have to go through the crap road to get to the good. And last year I did a top 15 positive predictions. And guess what? Nobody watched it. Well, not nobody, but very little people watched it. So I'll just go with what's happening in the world and flow with that. Spirit says to get ready for very high oil and gas prices once again. Some type of coming event, likely conflict with Iran, is going to significantly increase oil prices, in turn bringing up inflation once again globally. I see a large explosion in the skies, perhaps a satellite. Oh, wait, where's my Germany? I guess it's separate. Okay. Second prediction, sorry. I see a large explosion in our skies. Perhaps a satellite? I saw a flash of light, like a missile hitting something in the sky. Perhaps hitting a satellite, I would imagine. This is not related to the other flash of light. Sorry, I had a total brain freeze. It's not related to this other light that I saw earlier that lights up the solar system. No, this is completely different. This is something that lights up the sky, and not for everybody. It depends on where you're at to be able to see this. I believe it would be satellite related. And I also believe that this is something that we're going to see somewhere over the Middle East, perhaps. So some type of satellite being blown out of the sky over the Middle East and maybe also over Europe. And I believe we're going to see this multiple incidences of this. And what Spirit's showing me, it's not like shooting a missile from here to the satellite. I feel like something's flying, maybe a high flying drone, maybe flying above the satellite and shooting downwards. That's the way Spirit shows it to me. So large explosion in the skies. And I believe, again, somewhere over the Middle East. Expect there to be many satellite outages, Spirit said. Satellite outages, not satellites being blown out, but satellite outages and failures coming in August and December. And even more so in 2025. 2025, we're going to see cyber conflicts break out on like anything. Because once they hit like one country, the other country is going to hit back. And there's going to be this whole big cyber thing happening in 2025. That's probably going to be the great, third world conflict would be more related to cyber stuff. Cyber attacks, attacking infrastructures through satellites and through cyber attacks and things like that. We hold in the light that we are always protected in our home and space. In Germany and Poland both, I see so many struggles coming, which I did touch on in past predictions, but not like this, especially coming during the winter months, where record cold's going to sweep over Europe. I see more people walking and riding bikes as well, as if oil is extremely limited or just too high of a price for folks to heat their homes. I warn everyone, no matter where you are, as I have been doing for years now, friends, to always have a plan. Have a plan to keep warm in the winter. Have a plan. Like I have a little Mr. Heater that runs on propane that I use. I don't even use the regular heater because it takes up too much propane and it's just ridiculous to run it, especially with the cost of fuel and propane now. I use my little one in my fireplace and I'm good and I get enough wood and I get my wood right from the forest right here so I don't have to pay for it. I have to work for it, but I don't have to pay for it. Sometimes I wonder if I should pay for it and it might be easier. But no, I like being out in the forest and talking to the trees and such. So have a plan, friends. Keep warm, plan for the winter time. Have a food plan. Have a water plan. Because let me tell you, when things are offline, you're not going to get water. I've been trying to tell these folks in my community that we should all invest in some type of a generator backup for our pump when the power goes out so that we have water. Nobody listens to me here. They're all just, we're not even going to go into that. We'll just stay here in my house in my love. It's all that matters. But have a plan, friends. Be prepared for the unexpected. Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke. Great movie. But Cheech and Chong actually came to my mind, and they've been coming to my mind for a while lately, and it was in my notes, and I never actually mentioned it, and it's been in my notes for over a month. And today I went through my notepad, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about Cheech and Chong. Cheech and Chong have come to my mind very strongly lately, so I feel that we're going to see one of them, if not both of them, somehow related to news headlines. Whether it's Tommy Chong or Cheech Marin or both of them. Likely revolved around their health and potentially one of them potentially crossing over in the near future. Although I find it very interesting that when I look up their birthdays and their numerology, both Cheech and Chong are in the same exact year as each other. I found that very interesting. You know what else I found interesting in my lifetime and decades of this work? I find that many couples that have been married for like 50, 60 years or whatever, I find a majority of them are in the same year with numerology as each other. So I guess maybe it's easier when you're flowing through the same stuff at the same time. Whereas if you're in a 1 year and they're in a 9 year, they're at endings and you're in new beginnings and you could clash. So it's interesting how they are still so close after all these years and they're both in the same year. And what they're both in is in the one vibration. The one vibration, of course, is new beginnings, new starts, new creations. Although we have seen people pass away in their 1 year before. We saw Lisa Marie Presley pass in our 1 year. And you can pass in any year. It doesn't matter. As I've told you before, most commonly we see people pass in the 4 or in the 9. And I'd say maybe the 1 could be number 3 on the list. So it's possible. And I'm not sure. All I'm sure of is that Cheech and Chong comes to mind. Also, New York tunnels and subways. I said it earlier, but it's at the bottom of my prediction notes. New York City tunnels, I feel like, are at a high risk. And not just the Holland Tunnel or whatever what is it called? There's a couple of them there. Is it the Holland Tunnel? No, the Holland Tunnel is in Pennsylvania. The Lincoln Tunnel, one of those tunnels in New York. But I'm also thinking of subways in New York City. And the Holland Tunnel is in my notes, so there is something with the Holland Tunnel. Not sure what that's related to, but be aware. Also, I saw fires and visions of very smoky skies over North America and over Mexico both. So many fires are about to break out, and we're going to see more smoke and smoke everywhere. It's going to be crazy. I went outside, was it last night? But, there's campgrounds nearby. So sometimes you smell fire here, and it's just the campgrounds. And then sometimes because you look up the mountain, there's a big haze. And they do a lot of controlled burns up in Flagstaff, and that all blows right down here into the canyon a majority of the time. And I'm not easily freaked out person, but the one thing that does freak me out is that, like the fire, because that's just creepy. There's only one way out of here. Well, 2 ways, either up or down. There's no other way out of here. So I already have a plan for that. The creek, I already got my straw to go underwater and everything, just in case. Always have a plan, friends. Don't be caught off guard. Major fires coming up in Alaska. I see fires reaching up in Northern California, reaching up into right above California, Northern California. What is that? Oregon. But also between upper north part of Washington State into Canada. So those areas. And I did some map scrying on that, I think maybe in my weather video. Because I also pointed to a place in the middle of Australia, so I would expect Australia to be seeing some fires, but not necessarily in August. I believe Australia's fires are going to be right around the holidays, like Christmas time, December and January. So friends in Australia, be aware and have a plan, no matter what. And then Alaska, I see major stuff breaking out in Alaska. And you know what? I feel Alaska's fires are related to what I've seen visions of in the past. See, they don't tell you this, but some of these fires are... If you look, you'll see a small earthquake hits or some type of earthquake hits nearby. So there's cracks in the plates that are happening and magma is flowing up to the surface. And it could only be a minimal amount, but that minimal amount can, of course, strike a wildfire. And that's what we're going to start to hear. And we'll get validation on this. Spirit says you'll get validation on this in the near future that a wildfire was caused from magma seeping up through the earth. I think that's going to be in Alaska. And Ireland came to mind. And all I had for Ireland is I just saw a lot of chaos in the streets of Ireland. And I felt like it was the same fight. They're fighting the fight that we're about to fight in the United States. That's kind of the feeling Spirit gave me. That they're already fighting a fight that we're about to fight. So I guess with the government and the deep state that's going on in Ireland. And I see large protests taking place. And I tell our friends in Ireland to be safe, be well. Remember in my weather predictions, big storms are heading your way, including the hurricane storm, so be safe for that. I do feel like things will calm down eventually in Ireland, but this is all part of what's going to be happening globally everywhere. A fight to take our power back. A fight to step back into our power. Remember, it's power to the people, not power to the political system. Political system has gained way too much control. And me sitting at the table with the mafia and seeing the mafia at the table just goes to show what's running behind our politics and our governments. It's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Let me just go back. I wanted to tell you a couple of things. I talked about, over the weekend, I did 2 live videos. I did one on Saturday, and I did with other predictions, a whole bunch of predictions on Saturday, actually. And then Sunday, of course, Harris came out as the front runner now for the Democratic Party, so I went live for that. And I looked at some numbers. I looked at the numbers of her. She's in her 2-year. She's a Libra, born on October 20th. Now, I mentioned Hillary, and again, people in the comments, Hillary's birthday is October 26th, not November. I don't know where you get that from, but she's October 26th. And I know that because she's the day after my brother, and that's how I remember. And so she happens to be in her 8-year infinite possibilities. Michelle Obama is in her 8-year infinite possibilities. And I have this strong feeling that there might be 2 women that step forward. And I didn't look at Elizabeth Warren, but she just popped in my brain. I don't even know her. I don't like her either. She gives me a bad vibe. And I hear somebody asking, what woman would you want? I don't know, because I don't really follow politics. I don't know any of them, except for the ones that are in the front of our faces that we can't ignore. And like I said, we need a woman that's just pulled out, not part of that system. Somebody that's pulled out and put in place. That'd be our best bet. Our best bet. 2 women could really do a good job, but they could also, 2 women could be just like 2 men and totally corrupt everything like it already is. So it's just I found it kind of interesting that they're both pushing, and Spirit told us Hillary's pushing our way up. I remember the visions I had of a repeat of 2016. She's in her 8 and Michelle's in her 8. Could you imagine if they came in together and pushed poor Harris out of the whole thing? That would be sad. But I did see Harris looking sad in the corner, which is not cool. But that's what they do. They use and abuse each other. If you're not good enough for them, they push you right out of the picture. And if you threaten them, then they try to take you out. We saw that with DT. So I just thought that was interesting. Hillary's the 26th one is. Michelle is January 17th. Or wait, did I say Hillary's birthday right? Yeah, 10/26. Michelle is a Capricorn, January 17th. Also in the 8 vibration. Which means if either one of them were to step into the presidency, they'd step in their 9-year of endings, and the whole planet Earth is in a 9 years. So that would be really interesting. And I would say that would be the end of democracy right there, quite honestly. Endings. The 9 is all about endings. All about ending things. So let's pray that that doesn't happen the way they say, the end of what they call democracy. Let me rephrase that. Excuse me. We need to be the republic that we need to be. Living by our Constitution and our constitutional rights. And I'm sure more is going to arise with this over the next few days. And I'll go live whenever there's anything important going on. I will go live. So always make sure that you hit that subscribe, the bell, the all, so that you're on top. And I'm going to leave you with that today to keep this as short as possible because it takes forever to upload. And I want to be on time or be a little bit earlier, but I'm already running behind. So we're going to go with that. And remember to check out the past live videos I just did over the past week. Sign up for the free newsletter down below, because when that goes out next week, you'll get the astrology, numerology, and all the content that I put out over the past month right there in your inbox for free. Also, upcoming classes. Sometimes we put discount coupons in the newsletter, so check out the newsletter down below. Thank you for all of your contributions that have come through. I am forever grateful with infinite love and gratitude. Thank you to all those new members of our tribe that are now vibing with the tribe. Welcome to our community. We are so happy to have you here, and you're going to love it here. Until the next time, friends, remember to celebrate life, celebrate you, and be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And most importantly, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. And let your light shine, baby. And have a beautiful rest of your day, friends. Namaste. And much love. Much love, friends.